Ever wondered how a tiny island nation managed to take over an entire subcontinent? Today, we're diving into the story of how the British Empire, armed with tea, treaties, and a bit of trickery, conquered India. Spoiler alert, it wasn't all crumpets and cricket. Our story begins in the 1600s when the British East India Company sailed to India, not with dreams of conquest, but with a simple mission: to buy spices and sell tea. You see, back then, British food was so bland that pepper was considered a luxury. So they set up trading posts along the coast, and everything was going swimmingly until they realized something. India was rich, like really rich. And what's the British way of handling wealth? That's right, claim it as their own. Now, conquering a land as vast and diverse as India isn't easy. The British were massively outnumbered, outmatched, and let's be honest, they were melting in the Indian heat. So what did they do? They played the divide and rule card like pros. India wasn't one big happy family. It was more like a collection of hundreds of princely states, each with its own ruler, language, and favourite curry recipe. The British saw an opportunity. They started making friends with some kings, picking fights with others. And soon enough, they had everyone so busy arguing with each other, they didn't notice the British quietly taking control. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 was a game-changer. The British East India Company, led by Robert Clive, faced off against the Nawab of Bengal. But it wasn't exactly a fair fight. Clive had a secret weapon: bribery. He slipped a hefty bag of gold to one of the Nawab's key commanders, who decided that fighting wasn't really his thing after all. With the Nawab betrayed and defeated, the British took control of Bengal, one of India's richest regions. And from there, they didn't look back. With Bengal in their pocket, the British East India Company went from humble traders to full-blown rulers. They expanded their control over more and more territories, all while pretending to be just a business. But let's be real. They were more like the world's first corporate overlords, complete with their own private army. They collected taxes, enforced laws, and basically ran India like a giant company town, with London as the head office. Of course, not everyone was thrilled about this arrangement. In 1857, the Indian soldiers, known as Sepoys, decided they'd had enough. Leaders like Mangal Pandey first, and many brave patriots after him, rose up and started what's now called the Sepoy Mutiny, or India's first war of independence. But this wasn't your typical uprising. It started over a rumour that the new rifle cartridges were greased with cow and pig fat, which was a big no-no for Hindu and Muslim soldiers. The British quickly crushed the rebellion, but it shook them up enough to realise that maybe, just maybe, running a country as a private business wasn't the best idea. After the mutiny, the British government decided it was time to take direct control of India. They politely told the East India Company, "Thanks for the empire, we'll take it from here." Queen Victoria was declared the Empress of India, and the British Raj was born. For the next 90 years, the British ruled India, often with a stiff upper lip and a cup of tea in hand. But despite the fancy titles and imperial pomp, the British never quite managed to understand the complexity of India's culture and people, something that would come back to bite them in the end. The British eventually left India in 1947, but their 200-year rule left a deep impact of which effects can be seen to this day. They built railways, introduced English, and left behind a legacy of cricket, which India promptly mastered. But they also left behind economic exploitation, social division, and literally divided the country into two. Also, just don't get me started on their disregard for native life. So, how did the British manage to conquer India? With a mix of cunning, opportunism, and a bit of luck, and maybe a little help from the complexities of India itself. If you enjoyed this dive into history, do watch the next part where we dive into detailed explanation of the annexation and then independence. Also be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as a lot more interesting videos are on the way. And hey, if you have any other historical mysteries you'd like us to unravel, drop a suggestion in the comments below. See you next time.